Good evening and welcome to lockdown 3. I forget what number we're on now. Number 3 I think we're on. So if you are watching, know that I'll wave to you, and if you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments. But tonight, I don't know how long the session is going to be. It might not be an hour, but I'm just going to give you some things that can help you refine certain things. So, and I'm going to probably do 2 kicks, and then we'll go into some first and second kata. So first of all, just let's warm our legs up. Have a leg back if you want. Well, put a leg back anyway, and just from this position, just raise your leg up, tucking your foot in, and just lift. Ni, san, shi. Do a sideways view for you, so you can see. Go, ruk, sich, hach, ku, ju. Okay, swapping legs. Go the other side. Ich, ni. Notice how high I'm pulling the knee up. San, shi, go, ruk, sich, hach, ku, ju. From this position, just have your feet together. You're going to go out to the side. Ich, ni, as high as you can. San, shi, go, ruk, sich, hach, ku, ju. Now go the other side. Ich, way, yeah, drunk. I'm not really. Ni, san, shi, go, ruk, sich, hach, ku, ju. Okay, relax. All right, now with kicks, I'm just going to go into some of the finer points of a Meigeri front kick first. So what I want you to do is have your right leg back in short stance, or your left leg back in short stance, choice is yours. Guard position to, not only as a guard position, but to help you balance as well. Now the first stage, what you will get taught, is you'll get taught to bring the back leg, the kicking leg, up to here first, okay? Perfectly fine for beginners, okay? So as we're going through this, I don't want you to think about kicking with the foot. I want you to think about kicking with the knee. So you're going to bring that knee into this, first of all, with a bit of oomph. And then all you're going to do, at the top, as the knee hits the top, you're going to release that bottom half of the leg. So the bottom half of the leg kind of have a mind of its own. So you need to use muscle here to bring the knee up, muscle here to bring the knee up, but then let the bottom half of the leg just flick out. The other thing that you need to make sure you're doing with this kick is the very first movement. Hello there. The very first movement is to push forwards on the front knee. Not to watch what my front knee does when I bring the leg up. The knee straightens. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to push forwards on that front knee. And as you're pushing forwards on the front knee, you're bringing the other knee up. And then at the end of this, we're going to be kicking. And again, just let that bottom half of the leg, as the knee comes up, let the bottom half of the leg just flick. And then come back, okay? So from there, ich, ni, san, shi, go. Now, next point of call for this. You will get taught to have the leg level with the floor. Not necessarily. The higher the knee, the better the kick. It gives you more options. So if you lift your knee a certain level, for example, you're lazy and you go to here, which is, pointing downwards, you can only kick downwards. lift it a little bit higher, you kick a little bit higher. The higher you lift it, it gives you more. So you can either lift it one height, I'll lift it as high as I can, I'll kick as high as I can. So if we lift it high, we can go here. If we lift it the same height, we can go here. Lift it the same height again, we can go lower, okay? So the higher you lift the knee, the better it is for you. The next thing and the final thing, well, not the final thing, but one thing to refine your kick is the supporting leg. Must twist. You must pivot on this supporting leg. Failure to do so, you're going to lose power and stability in your kick. So start off with both feet on a 45-degree angle. And just focus on the front foot for a second. When I lift this, that doesn't go anywhere. It's only at the point of this happening that this happens. Okay? So I want to combine the bottom half of the leg flicking out with the push of the heel. So we're going to go forwards from this position. It's going to come up and firing that heel out. So the heel fires into the kick, which, as you can also tell from this position here, will allow the hip to move as well. Allow the hip to go into the kick. So as you're bringing this hip forwards, as you're kicking, you're bringing this hip through into the kick. So we'll do 5 more of those. Each. So we're engaging now, we're engaging this front foot. Ni, san, shi, go. Okay. Another thing to remember when kicking. Whichever leg's forwards, that hand is generally high, and the other one's generally back. Make sure your guard rolls. Notice how the elbows stay in. So we're not kicking this way. And the other thing we want to avoid doing is pulling back with the hands. So we want to avoid that completely. So as we kick through, as we lift the knee up, notice the hands switch. Hands are switching. Now, the final point to refine your front kick is get rid of the basic. Get rid of the basic of this first, this second. When I said before, kicking with the knee, let the knee come forwards first, and then let the foot lag behind, and then shoot out at the end. So what happens is let's focus on this part now. Let's focus on the back foot. So really what's happening is you kind of, I'm going to slow this right down. You're kind of kicking and coming through, and as you're bringing the knee up, the kick is winding. And then it's only at that kicking point do you throw the kick in. So you kind of bring the knee into it first. The knee, also known as a hiza, is also a strike. So by putting effort into, for example, this, and not a lot of effort into this, you're losing a trick. You're losing a technique. All right. So kick with the knee first. Front kick is designed to go forwards. It's not designed as we're doing right now to come back. It's designed to go through and land. So if you find yourself putting that much effort into your kick that you fall forwards, that's perfectly fine. But fall forwards with grace. Don't fall forwards with your arms everywhere, wide open. Keep your arms in. When I say fall forwards, I mean do it with control. So don't fall forwards this way. You've done the kick and you land. Still bring the kick back into the knee. And down. Then the guard position needs to remain in guard position. as you kick. All right? So, taking all that into consideration, swap legs. That was everyone's best side. We're now going to go the left leg, which is probably everyone's worst side. However, you'll find you'll be able to generate power in the heel because you're using your strongest leg for 90% of the people out there. So, start off nice and basic from here and we'll build up. So, pushing forwards on the front knee, bring the knee through of the back leg, switching the guard and kick. Ich, knee, san, shi, go. Now from this position, start to engage this heel. Start to engage this heel and let the back foot drag. Let the back foot drag in behind you. Okay, ruk, sich. Remember using this at the point of this, okay? So don't use this too soon. Far too often when people are kicking, and you can still be training as I'm talking, but again, I want to just give you something to walk away with today and number one, be able to walk away, which is something I probably won't be able to do, but I want to give you something that you can go away and refine. So let's treat this more of a teaching class as opposed to a blood, sweat and tears class, all right? So remember, people will do this first, or they'll do this first. Save that to last. And don't pivot on the heel. Pivot on the ball of the foot. So if anything, you want to bring that heel into the stance. See, you can see there. You can see the whip, if you like, of the actual bringing the heel in. As opposed to, it's a stronger whip. All right, it looks stronger. It looks stronger on TV anyway. So we'll do 5 more, firing the heel in. Ish, ni, san, shi, go. Okay, relax. What we sometimes forget is that the hara, the bit that sticks out on some of us, is the muscles that are used during kicking. So when you're doing your front kick, you're using these muscles here. All right, they're going to help this rise up. When we do the next kick, which is the round kick, which again, I'll go into some finer points of it, we're going to use these muscles here, which is going to help the lift of the leg, the cock of the leg, if you like. All right, so we'll go nice and easy. Mawashi geri, without the mawashi for now. So I'll really break this down. Same principle applies as front kick. You have to push forwards on the front knee. When the twist of the kick happens, which we're not going to do just yet, you have to pivot on the ball of the supporting leg. So what I'm going to do for now is I'll sideways on view it for you. All we're going to do now is we're just going to, from this position, cock the leg to the side. Now notice as I'm cocking it to the side, I'm bringing the foot into the backside as much as I possibly can. So we're pushing forwards and lifting up. But notice where the knee is, the kicking knee. We're not doing this and bringing the knee forward to the body. We're just bringing the knee up to the side as much as we possibly can. So it's here. All right, it stays behind. It stays behind the front leg for now. Lift up to the side. Lift up to the side. Now all I want you to do is, you're going to kick straight out. So it's going to go from where you are, lift, kick, and down. Lift, kick, and down. Easy peasy, Japanesey. So you might want to go from guard position here, to when you lift the kick, guard position here. So when we go from this position, kick. So it's going to come up, we're pushing forwards first, up and kick. I am extending the leg. I know that one there looked a little bit shallow, but the leg is extending, believe it or not. Okay, so we're going to come up, kick. All right. Now, with the front kick and the round kick, we're kicking with the ball of the foot. So both kicks have got the same penetration point, which is the ball of the foot. So you need to pull your foot back. With front kick, you push your foot forwards and you pull your toes back. With round kick, you pull everything back. Okay, so we're kicking with the ball of the foot. Make sure those toes are out of the way. Some styles may teach you to kick with the instep or the shin. Again, works fine, but until you've got the basics of a kick, there's no point in going to do any of this other fancy stuff. Now, what we're going to do from this position is, we're going to add the pivot, the twist of the supporting leg. So from where we are, as we lift to the side, notice there's no movement here. But also try and notice that when we're lifting to the side, that the leg isn't lagged. It's not sort of dropping down. We've got to get that ankle as high as the knee. Now at that point, we're going to twist on this supporting leg. So we're going to come around, kick. Now again, round kick isn't designed to be retracted. It's designed to go through. So if you find yourself falling forwards, that's perfectly fine. But like I said before, do it with grace. Do it with guard position, do it with posture. So as we come through now, we're going to lift to the side and twist. And it's this here that puts the kick into play. And all this is just a passenger. This is the transportation. All this is doing is coming along for the ride. So as we come through now, kick and down. We'll go back. We'll go through with this kick because I personally prefer to kick forwards. I don't like to bring the kick back. All right, number one, it's effort that doesn't need to be there because of how round kick is meant to be. And two, it's effort because of it just makes the kick harder. So number two and number one are pretty much the same. It's a longer trek as well. All right, so you're probably better off going forwards and snapping out of, or if you're going to go on the retreat, you're better off going forwards and then back. Okay, which is another exercise for another day. In fact, I'll run through that exercise with you now so that you've got something to go and practice. So we're going to go forwards, kick, then from here, shuffle, shuffle. And all you've done is change legs. If you want to fancy that up a little bit, switch. So you can do kick forward, shuffle, shuffle, switch. Footwork. All right, so we're going to go forwards again. Ish. Knee. Sun. Okay, now the next part to this kick is, as we did at the beginning, we were coiling up. I'll call it coiling, a bit like a snake. Coils up and then attacks. I don't want you to coil up at the beginning of the kick. What I want you to do is I want you to pull the knee through the kick, and the coil happens on the way out. So as we do the kick, if I really slow this right down as much as I possibly can, I'll probably lose balance, but that's okay, you can laugh all you want. So from here, as we bring the kick up, we kind of bring it up to here. Notice how it's not tucked in right now, but I've not used the supporting leg either. And as this supporting leg twists, get balance, as this supporting leg twists, that's when the coil starts to happen. And then kick. So really, the kicking part of the leg is only in this tight coiled position for a split second. As in, as soon as that knee hits the front, that's when the coil finishes and unleashes. Alright? So as you're kicking, try not to coil first. Try to just throw everything into this around. And then let the coil of the kick happen on the way around. I'll try and demonstrate that again nice and slowly. I won't get any height to this, so just bear with me. So we're kind of coming up, and then from this position, as we're turning on the supporting leg, the coil is happening. We coil, 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 so that as we've got to the kicking point, we finish the coil, but it's only there because you're going to use it, okay? If that makes sense. Please let me know if it doesn't, and I can't put it any simpler for you. Sorry. All right, so, and again, we're still using this last. We're not doing this, and we're not doing this to begin with. Okay, so we're just going to kick, guard stays in, and the other thing to avoid with a round kick is avoid swinging the arms. The more proficient you get, swinging the arms is a beginner thing. The more proficient you get, the more you will find that your guard remains in. And as you kick, there's very little movement with the arms themselves. All right, so we're not, people only do this to try and generate power in the kick. But as I said in previous videos before, you want to remove anything that's unnecessary in your training. And this here is unnecessary. There's no need. All right, everybody can kick head level, so don't worry about flexibility. Everybody on the planet can kick head level. But you've got to be able to put enough power into the knee level kick first before you can then kick head level, if that makes sense. So do a few more. I don't care how high you kick. Most people get caught up with round kick or any kick in general, and they say to themselves, well, I want to kick head level. Well, no, you don't. You don't ever want to kick head level. Ever. Doesn't matter how if it's competition, if it's self-defense, you don't ever want to kick head level whatsoever. You want to be kicking towards the parts that are going to cause damage. Okay? Which is going to be the knees, the groin, the floating rib. They're the parts you want to be aiming for. And just so you know, with all of those parts, apart from the groin, so the knees and the ribs, I will personally be using the shin to kick there. If it was the groin, I'd be using the top of the foot to just slap into the groin area. All right, so we can take out anything from ankle upwards with our kick. So don't panic about height. No need. Okay? Height's irrelevant. It looks good. It's aesthetically nice, but it's a lot of cause wobble. Okay, from there we're going to kick again. Ish. What's the point in kicking head level when it's slower? Kick groin level, kick knee level. Knee. San. Shi. One more this side. Go. Okay, swapping sides. Okay, nice and light. We'll do it on the side first. So we're just going to cock it to the side and then release. So in fact, we'll just cock it to the side first. Each, so up to the side, tuck it in, and then when you're ready, just release the kick. But notice that we're not coming forwards of our front knee. We're staying behind it as much as we possibly can. Don't forget to push forwards. San. My knee's going to feel this in the morning. Shi. Go. Okay, now we'll start putting the twist in. The twist in the step. But remember, we're not coiling first. We're just going to bring the heel in as the kick is turning. It's all going to be one entity. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on and so on. So, a few medium. Ish. Knee. I think my left is my better side. So. Shi. And one more. Go. What a lot of teachers do is things get broken down in your training. Like for example, your round kick. 1, 2, 3, 4. They kind of get broken to pieces. But, and again, please forgive me if I'm looking this way. TV's there, I'm just checking to see what I'm doing is right. They get broken down into a lot of pieces, but instructors fail to put them back together again. It just becomes so basic that the reality of the technique is lost. So I don't want it to be so basic that the reality of your technique is lost. So still keep it relaxed. Karate should be relaxed. Should never be stiff. The second you stiffen up, the slower you become. So remember, we're just going to bring the leg out, fire this in, and this is going to be the transportation for this. Okay, 5 more. Again, don't panic about height. It's up to you how high you kick. I prefer to see a nice solid round kick, knee level, than a shocking round kick, head level. Ish. Knee. San. Shi. Go. Okay, relax. Alright, I have 2 minutes. If you are watching, you don't have any questions, even if you're watching this at a later date and you've got any questions, please feel free to send me an inbox. If it's on YouTube, write a comment on YouTube, and I'll answer it as best I possibly can. You never know, your question might be the next video that we do. So please ask questions. Alright, next thing. Kata. Kata shodan, kata nidan. Taikiyoko and taikiyoko nidan. The principles are the same. I'm not going to go through the whole kata, so like I said, this session is probably not going to be an hour. But I just want to give you some teaching principles that you can teach yourself. Alright, the first stage of our first and our second kata are exactly the same. We're always going to step slightly behind with our left leg and prepare to the shoulder with our left arm. Now, depending on proficiency and depending on how you're doing it, Tadashiru has 3 ways of doing first and second kata. The first way we teach is in short stance. Everything becomes short stance. To make it really, really simple. The next way that we do it is in Zenkutsu dachi. So this is for first and second. So instead of stepping straight back, we need to not only step straight back, but we need to step out as well. So when we turn, we have our Zenkutsu dachi. And then the third way that we do it is for our third cues and above, which is what I call like a fight play kind of kata. But we don't need to go into that for right now. I think that's on. I think it's on YouTube on the Tadashiru page. So from this position, all we're going to do right now is we're going to step, prepare. Now, whatever you want to do, you can block down or you can block upwards. But if you're blocking upwards or you're blocking downwards, there's still this, still the guide arm. Then that twist with the hips. So your goal with that first move, first or second kata, is to have this all happen together. Notice as the foot moves, the hands are moving. But then as the twist happens, to have everything finish at the same time. Now I can't do the timing for you, I can only break it down. It's going to be up to you as an individual to put it back together again. So, we'll step and block. Each. And then retract. I'll probably do a mix and match between the two, so I might block downwards now. Knee. I'll go blocking upwards. So I'll alternate between the two. San. Shi. Key point to that technique and generating this is having the feet and the hips remain forwards when you step. Whether you're stepping into short stance or whether you're stepping into long stance. The feet need to remain pointing forwards, as do the hips. And it's at that last point, you've prepared, you're ready to fire the block in, that the block is fired with this twist. So if you were just to spend your day, go around in circles, or reset, step, twist, or reset, step, twist, reset, step, twist, reset. And just do them in fours. And then you can start throwing the blocks in there. That's what we'll do now. So we'll go around in a circle. So we're going to go from here, step up forwards and reset. Left leg still, forwards and reset. We'll block upwards now. Still turning 90 degrees. And then from there, blocking downwards. Easy peasy. Right. If you can do that, every twist in kata is a piece of cake for you. If you can get at least the first 4 counts of first kata and second, well, if you can get first, you get second. But if you can get the first 4 counts of this kata and the next one, every single mowote twist in kata will be a piece of cake. Be easy for you. You've got to get this principle first. Why do I say that? Because count number 5 in first and second kata is the same as count number 1. We'll go left leg back, we turn to the left. So count number 1, count number 2, count number 3, count number 4. Look how count number 5 matches count number 1. We've just done that. Okay, so if you can get this mowote here, so we'll add in a twist now. So from there, it doesn't matter what you do, up or down, totally it's irrelevant. So we'll go from here, we're going to go 1, step forwards, 2. The goal here is to have the hand and the foot land together. So the hikate and the foot land together. You are going to use hips, yes, but that's only because you've blocked on a 45 degree and then you're going to use this to power the punch forwards. So we'll go 1, 2. Now, you've got to keep your hips and shoulders square. You're going to send your right foot out towards the left hand side. Imagine a line going from heel to heel. A diagonal line going from heel to heel. All you have to do is follow that line. Once you follow that line, you'll be alright. You keep your hips and shoulders in that same direction as much as you possibly can. Alright? And from this position, everything's loaded. Count to straight legs, it's hard to do. Everything's loaded, you're prepared, etc, etc. Whether you're blocking upwards, whether you're blocking downwards, doesn't matter. And then from that position, just twist. Now the goal here is to have the belt whip and the gi lift. You know what I would call the skirt, have the skirt lift up. So whenever you're using hips in class, instructors can always tell when hips are being used, because if they are being used, that happens. If they're not being used, that happens. Okay? So even with kata, we step, belt and skirt. And then probably even the same thing when you step forwards. Let the belt and the skirt come through. And then as you step around, step on that line, load everything up, belt and skirt flip up. That's when you know you're using your hips. That's when I know anyway. First kata's pretty self-explanatory. Block Jodan, strike Jodan. Easy. Second kata's a little bit more in depth. Alright, and you will find that a lot of places that do kata, patterns, forms, whatever the style calls it, they will all start off with this basic H shape. Every single one does. When you're doing your second kata, blocking downwards, we're always going to do punch kick. So from here, the hip in second kata is going to be engaged for the punch. Now as that happens, this part here, this is when the kick is coming through. Alright, so it's not just as simple as from this position, 1, 2. You want number 1 and number 2 to kind of roll into 1. If that makes sense. Just let it roll. So as you're kicking, you have hips are going around to the left. You've done your block. Hips are now coming around to the punch. You're doing your punch. This is all going to help you go into the kick. So the goal is, instead of having 1, 2, 3, try to make it all brum, if that makes sense. Alright, so when you're doing that, when you're doing the block punch kick, particularly to your own timing, the count of a kata is different to the timing of a kata. Count would determine, I'll do it this side so I've got room. Count determines itch, knee, and there's your 2 techniques together. However, timing determines that you shouldn't stop after itch. You should continue, because the body's coming round this way. Block's finished, punch is finished, kick is finishing. So it wants to all kind of roll into one movement. So as you move into this, and you make it all movement, it becomes brum, if that makes total nonsense to you. So I'll do that one more time. So the count would be each knee, but we're going to combine them into 1. So from here, now my arms tell me that I've finished each technique. They tell me the block finished. They tell me the punch finished. And my knees are telling me that the kick finished. So the joints that I'm using are telling me that those techniques are finished. It doesn't look like it on the TV. Alright, but they are finishing. Now what should happen with your first kata is, go back to first kata a second, is that first move. As you are locking out that stance with the back leg, particularly when you're doing Zenkutsudachi, as you're doing that, that lockout should push you into the next technique. So that pushes you into the punch. So as you're going through this, I'll do it in short stance, but I'll lock out the back leg just so you can see. So as we're going through, we're going to go 1, legs are loaded. As we go from here to here, that takes us into, good evening, that takes us into our second technique. So when you're doing things on a timed base, it goes punch. There is no stop. And the same goes for your second kata. You're just using the mechanics of how the body moves to take you into the next technique. It should flow. It should be one movement. It should never be da 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 da. That's boring. You wouldn't listen to music if it was just da 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 da. Well, I don't know, some teenagers do these days. But you've got to have inflections in kata. It's like music. There's going to be slow parts, there's going to be fast parts, there's going to be parts that are all together, there's going to be parts that are just one technique. Alright, so as you're going through your second kata, try and make it just roll into one. And the best way to practice kata, as with any karate technique, is slow. Slow and controlled is the best way to practice. You don't have to have a sweat on. There's no need for that. But if you're practicing, certainly practice. It's no good doing this. I'll do it this way so you can see. It's no good doing this, because that's not, it might look quick, but I missed out a vital point, which was the preparation point. So all I basically did then was went from here to here. Now if I make it the same, a similar speed, but we hit the points, you can see it hitting the points, okay? And I'm not actually touching the shoulder. I'm just coming through the shoulder. So again, the further you go, the more you can see. So as you're going through your kata, remember, vital point for stage number 1 is keeping everything here. And then twist. So again, if you want to just go through that, 1, 2, 3, 4, go in circles, you can do, or in this instance, a square. And And then from that position, as we're coming through here, use this push to take you into your next technique, which is your punch. And then keep everything. Now, Zen coach said that short stance, doesn't really matter which. To make this next transition 180 degrees, don't forget this back leg. So we're not going to go through this way. If anything, we're going to go through this way, collapse first. So we collapse and drag. Whatever stance you're in, if it's Zen Kotsudachi, all that's going to do, by collapsing the back leg, look where my head is now. By collapsing the back leg, drops me backwards. I don't lose posture, because my body's still upright. It just drops me backwards into the stance. That's all going to help me with this. Because what I've got to understand with Zen Kotsudachi is, it's 70% of the body weight is on the front leg. So we can't go from where we are. I mean, I'm a big lad, so it'd be like me trying to say, right, okay, I've got 70% of my body weight going this way. All right, I'm going to use this 30% to drag it back. No. Make your 70% here, about 50% here, which will make an easier transition. So it's just body weight transition as well. Again, take away the unnecessary. And a lot of upper body movement is unnecessary. And these will be some of the things that you won't get told in your classes. It doesn't matter what grade you are. You know, you're probably 50th Dan who flung dung, thinking, oh, I didn't know that. Or you're probably a white belt of kick a can about, thinking, ooh, I'm gonna implement that. So my attitude towards training for students is, and I'm going to close now, I'm going to finish now. My attitude towards training for students is, if you can walk out of any session with one of two things. The first thing, have I learnt something new? And if the answer is no, move on to the second thing. Have I improved on what I already know? And if the answer is no to either of those two things, you either need to change your attitude or change schools. If you can walk out of a class and have both of those things, well, you've done a good job and so is your instructor. So think about those two things when next time you walk into a dojo, next time you train for yourself. Have I learned something new? Yes, I have. All right, congratulations. It was well worth the session. Have I improved on something I already know? Yes, I have. It was well worth the session. Now we'll go to the no's. Have I learned something new? No. I know it all. Well, that really shows lack of humility. But if you think, you know, all right, fair enough. If you've not learned anything new, if your instructor's gone through the same, it's like, oh, we've been doing this for 20 weeks in a row. How many more times do you want me to punch? I want you to punch until you can't get it wrong. That's how many times I want you to punch. That's how many times I'd like you to do something in training until you can't get it wrong. Don't think about getting it right, think about not getting it wrong. So if you've not learned anything new, have you improved on something that you already know? And if the answer is yes, then again, congratulations. But if the answer is no, fix your attitude, go and learn some humility, or find another school to train at. Or quit training, because your attitude really needs to be in check. Okay? I've learned, for me, I've been training for a while, since 1999. But some of the changes that are in Tadashi have come from people that I have taught, but they've also come from people that are a much lower grade than me and probably trained not half the time as I have. But I've looked at them and I've thought, okay, they've also helped me implement things as well. You know, the humility, the arrogance would say, I'm the boss. No, it's my club. You don't tell me what to do. The humility says, that's a good idea. I like that. We're going to make our way that way. Oh, okay. What does it do to the student? It's called edification. All right? Okay, that's it. that's me, done, dusted, finished. Next week, we'll probably move into our side kick, Yoko Geri, and our back kick, Ushiro Geri. Certain kicks that I won't be teaching, but they'll be in kata anyway, but we can go through those when we go through kata. And then I'll also go through some finer points of kata cipher next week. All right, so if you're going to join me next week, have a look at the kicks, have a look at cipher, and at least get the first 6 transitions, the first 6 moves, which are all the same, just opposite sides. At least those. All right, other than that, I'm going to leave you. I'll say hi. If you've got any comments, please leave below. Give me a like, give me a thumbs up, give me whatever. Sayonara. Adios.